All right. Obviously, we knew this was going to be a very hard-fought football game. That's one of the best defenses in the NFL, and they do a lot of challenging things, running the football and just keeping you off balance defensively. So I knew we would have to battle. We'd have to play well in the kicking game and try to win the turnover battle and do some of the little things right. We weren't able to do that, but our guys just, as connected of a team as I've been around as far as a trip like this, 10 days, just relentless in their pursuit of trying to win a football game today. Proud of a lot of guys, proud of our team, proud of our coaches for just battling some, we had a little bit more adversity, some caused by ourselves, and we found a way to win a football game. So really appreciate all the folks that made this trip possible, starting with the people in-house with our team. We've got the best ops, the best trainers, the best strength coaches, the best nutritionists. I could not do my job without a lot of folks that put a lot of work into a trip that had not been done before. And to see our team come to life and finish the way they did is a credit to a lot of them, as well as the hosts here in London and obviously in Dublin, our first game. It seems like we've been gone a while, and we're very much excited to get back home and try to start getting healthy. And a lot still in front of this team, but it's good to have gotten this victory here today. Just an injury update. Carson Wentz did have a left shoulder, was able to come back in the game after halftime, and then Jordan Mason had a quad contusion and, also finished the game. Christian Darrisaw was part of a plan we knew at some point. Christian, based upon the high snap count last week, we wanted to be smart with CD and didn't make it any easier as far as having to navigate the end of the game there without one of the best left tackles in football. But want to compliment CD, his willingness to continue to ramp up and continue to be such a critical factor for our team. Proud of him, and once again just proud of our guys. But I'll open it up to you guys.
Coach, what gave you the confidence to go to Jordan Addison on that final touchdown? Well,
we were, a lot of those calls were really centered around, you're going fast, trying to navigate, having a few young bucks in there up front against one of the best fronts in football. So a lot of it is just trying to kind of navigate through that first, and then try to get some one-on-one opportunities for some guys. And we were able to kind of move the ball against some single high, and they were kind of disguising a little bit some split safety looks out of those single high looks, and Carson did a nice job seeing it. When we got single high, we were able to get the ball downfield. Justin made a great play on the one-on-one outside, and then we kind of got down there, and whether it was either going to be a world where they were going to try to pressure us to see if they can move us back out of field goal range if they could. So we were trying to make sure we had a plan for that. But at the same time, you got to have somewhere to go with it if they do try to play cloud, and Carson was ready for that. It was a kind of a coaching point we gave early on in the game that showed up in a got-to-have-it type situation.
Are you able to tell us, Coach, why Jordan wasn't on the field for the first quarter?
Yeah. We're always going to keep a lot of those details in-house, but I do think I want to share with you guys. He missed a walkthrough this week, and, those types of things aren't in alignment with our standards, and wanted to make sure he was held accountable for that. But at the same time, he knows that. I thought he handled it professionally. He spoke with the team to let them know that whenever I gave him the opportunity to go in the game, they could count on him, and he makes the game-winning catch. But I love Jordan Addison. I think he's a guy that I care about tremendously, and he knows that every guy in that locker room has his back. He knows that I will never waver in my confidence and belief in him. But at the same time, we've got standards, and personal responsibility and accountability are huge if you want to talk about culture. So that's what happened there.
It felt like there were a lot more moving pockets, like boots and stuff like that, in this game plan than there have been in the past couple of years for you. Was that a product of the defensive line, offensive line matchup, or am I reading that wrong?
Yeah. We wanted to make sure we had a game plan to try to win the game today.
Hi, Coach. Those defensive plays at the end of the second quarter to hold out the Browns, you
That was
minimised
huge.
them to only the field goal. Did that give you massive boosts going in at halftime? Because you came out at the start of the third quarter with a real energy, a real drive to being able to hold them.
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, you're able to, get the stop when you defer to start the game, and that kind of opens that door to a possible chance at doubling up, to end the quarter and start the second half. And we didn't do that, but I did feel like that stop, even after giving up the drive we did to keep them out and hold them to 3, was a boost. And then it was the offense's turn to go out there and stack some plays. I do believe, we had some critical penalties that eliminated an explosive run and an explosive pass today. Two fumbles that just cannot happen. So we've got a lot to clean up. It is early in the season, and I'm going to continue to challenge and push every coach, every player, to maximize what we can become as a football team by growing individually and collectively. And it always starts with me, and I've got to do that as well. But yes, there was moments in the game where I thought, like I said, the connectedness and just the team that's been bonded together through some unique circumstances over the last 10 days, but long before that as well, it showed itself. There was no flinch. There was no defense. Gets a stop. We get an incredibly short field, and we fumble the ball on the first. Darn near in field goal range, and we fumble that ball, have an error up front, and allow immediate penetration. Those things can't happen consistently if you want to win games. I'm excited we were able to battle and go finish the way we needed to, but there's still a ton of improvement that has to happen for our football team, and like I said, it starts with me.
Kevin, as a former quarterback yourself, on the final drive prior to it, what would you say to Carson Wentz? This Browns defense got 3 sacks in the game, causing problems throughout the whole 4 quarters. What were you saying to Wentz prior to that drive as he went on to throw to Addison to win the game?
Yeah, I just, it can be in the back of a guy's mind when he knows he's got some young guys in there against the front like that. I just told him to trust me. I just told him, let me worry about, as best I can what's happening up front and help where I can. I just want you to play fast and see it and throw it. And I thought he had some incredible throws to move us down the field in that sequence and score.
And we go into this game with a firm amount of snaps for Christian Darrisaw, or is it just kind of working with him in terms of how he's feeling, or what was the plan?
Yeah, coming out of the high snap count last week, which he really went from, the first half against Cincy, and then we had nearly 80 plays against Pittsburgh, and it's just that direct dialogue, Kevin, between Christian and myself and our training staff. And, just as he worked through the week, we tried to give him as much time to turn over, but that's a pretty aggressive jump for his snap count. And I gave him so much credit for staying in there and battling to the very end in Dublin. And then we just wanted to make sure this guy's had an unbelievable journey back where he deserves so much credit for what he means to our team and his individual journey that I think the right thing to do is always to have that open dialogue and try to create a plan that the player can feel good about, regardless of, it necessarily is what I want in the moment. That does not matter. It's what's best for our players.
Adversity is the word that you use to describe this team and the trip that you've had. Like you said, a longer trip than most teams have made. Injuries, key injuries on the offensive line and on the defense. JJ come in but not being able to play either, and the guys have all been stepping up. What is that a testament to the character and the strength of this team, and how proud of you are you of the guys that have stepped up and had to start effectively?
Yeah, I'm not sure anybody's had a trip like this, but it's definitely on the podium for the longest, I would believe. I don't want to. I'm sure that there's something I don't know, but what I would tell you is this: there's moments throughout a season that might not always be in alignment with the reactionary world of our game being the most popular game on the planet. And I understand, and our team understands certain aspects of things that get discussed and talked about and the narratives that get formed. But our locker room is cleansed of that. Our locker room is just about the right stuff. It's hard to explain. We call it the invisible presence. And it's something that needs to be built and carved and shaved to each individual team every single year. But it's important, and it's something that matters. And I'm sure there's going to be people that listen to that and think that's the strangest thing they've ever heard. But so be it. It matters to the Minnesota Vikings.
Coach, Carson Wentz, 2 wins out of 3 now. Is this beginning to look like potentially it's his job to lose. How are you evaluating the quarterback situation going forward?
Yeah, I'm just excited we got the win today, and we're going to move forward in this bye and get as healthy as we can at all positions and attack this thing through the next few games.
Coach, speaking of the bye week, last year obviously you went into it 5-0 but then lost to 2 coming out.
Yep.
Now you're 3-2. How can you ensure that you're going to be sharper coming off the bye this time, especially when you're going to be playing the Eagles and the Chargers?
Yeah, so I think it's really important first and foremost that we exhaust our opportunities to get healthy. We've been pretty banged up at some critical spots. If you're just looking at the original intent of your starting 22 guys, 25 guys or so that you hope to really lean on. So we've got to get healthy, and I think we've got to use the time as a coaching staff to figure out what is the identity of this year's team, and it's been hard to really figure out exactly what that looks like, just as it's been such a game-to-game, really in many ways day-to-day approach, just trying to maximize our preparation, just trying to improve and continue to elevate the floor of our team, because that floor has been called upon. We're 3-2. We're going to be able to go home after what's been a trip that has required some things out of a lot of people, and we got 1 win on this trip. We would have loved to come away with 2, but we were relentless today in our pursuit of just finding a way to win a football game against a good team.
Kevin, how would you describe what Justin gave you today?
Yeah, he is a guy that I've been so proud of the way he's led our football team through training camp, and I'm old enough to remember when he had an injury that knocked him out of nearly all of training camp, and he was still one of our most dynamic leaders on the field. You guys, Alec, you were there every day. You felt him, but it's his ability to rise to the moment. And I thought the catch down the middle was a pretty critical one, even though we didn't end up getting points, I believe, on that drive. And then he makes the play down the right sideline, and just our team feeds off of 18 in so many ways, and we have so many explosive players on the outside. TJ, Josh, TJ Hawkinson's another guy, Alec, that we're asking a lot of him right now that doesn't necessarily coincide with him being one of the best route running tight ends in the NFL. And there's some sacrifice going on all across our football team to do whatever is required to win one game. And that mentality can be a powerful thing as we inevitably, start to get some guys back. I told our team the other day, the good news is, a lot of our guys that we have down right now, they will return, and we can start to really figure out exactly what we are as a team. But I still think the growth and the identity you're forming, through these opportunities, you only get 17 of them, and there are none to take for granted. We need to be razor sharp in preparing to win however we need to win. And metrics and all the, we did a lot of things to lose the game today, but you'd never know it just watching our guys compete and just continuing to play the next snap. And that is a unique characteristic of teams that will find a way to navigate the journey ahead.
Last two.
Just on the final drive, after you went into a little bit of a rut in the sort of third and fourth quarter, just after the opening series in the second half, how do you go about sort of implementing a sort of flow for that final drive? Like, how do you go about finding that again when you've got a must-have-it situation?
Yeah, it's first and foremost, my brain hurts right now, if I'm being honest with you. Navigating that at the end and just trying to make sure that our team maintained their poise, specifically on offense, knowing that we had to travel a good bit there to try to get 7 to win the game. But what I would say is you go back to, the rut, we have the type of drive where we're very, we're able to stack plays to start the second half when we go down and score. And I made a bad play call. We'd been running some quick game on, on a 1st and 10, and we thought we had, kind of help prepared, and we ended up getting an inside move on a 1st and 10 that, taking a double move to Jordan Addison, had been set up and might have a chance for it. But that's the risk-reward proposition that you battle as a play caller on game day. It's hard defense to drive the ball over and over 12, 13, 14 plays. You're going to need some explosives mixed in against that group. Because their goal is to try to make you snap it one more time and one more time and one more time and then force the negative. We gave it up too easily. I thought when we didn't move the ball, it was either a turnover, they punched one out. We obviously fumbled that, a critical play fumble in the second one. And then just there were some, penalties that force you into those long yardage situations that they're foaming at the mouth for those plays, and you try to avoid them and navigate that while also picking your spots to see if you can take a chunk or two to try to get into that area where we feel pretty confident in our red zone plans. If we, when we can get down there, we feel comfortable and confident that we're going to find a way to punch it in.